What is the role of debt in the economy, according to the Austrian School of Economics?
Well, public debt never has been higher than today. So in Japan, in the United States, in Europe, in the entire Western world, we never had as much debt as we have today. We're very indebted. What are the consequences of having these high debts, and how does this work in economics? Well, every debt, as we know, has two sides. There's not simply debt. It's also an asset to somebody. Debt is a liability. Somebody has the asset. However, historically, under a gold standard, for instance, most of the credit created was backed by savings, real savings. People not consuming, simply not consuming, thereby being able to lending money to others, which in turn, of course, is simply debt. However, since abandoning the gold standard in 1971, we have seen a shift from these savings to actually credit creation or credit expansion by the central bank and the commercial banks. So what does this mean? Well, we have the highest debts or higher debts than we ever had. We have very high public debts. And the curious fact about these debts is if we figure out who owns these debts, we can take a peek into the future. Who owns these debts? Well, most of all is owned by pension funds, for instance. Whose money is in pension funds? Of the working class people. We also have the central banks having a large portion of that public debt. Who will pay for that debt on the balance sheet of the European Central Bank? People holding euros, one way or another, they will have to pay for that debt. And the third, of course, would be people having bonds or government bonds privately. They invest some of their savings, some of their retirement funds into government bonds. However, if public debt is as high as I say it is, then there's a very big risk that all those bonds are not worth what we think they're worth today. So a lot of people will end up with a lot of financial pain. They will lose a lot of money on their investments in government bonds. And I think most of this has to do with abandoning the gold standard in 1971, when money has changed and we created this system where credit expansion and creating credit has become so easy for central banks that the result is a future debt crisis.
That's very clear.
Thank you.